Hey, Snoo Snoo. I already tapped into it. Already tapped into it. He was all up in, hey, Rondo, what's going on, beloved? West Side was I Doctor This American Arms. That's right. Herbo, Mike Hill, what's going on, beloved? Snoo Snoo. What's going on, beloved? Pearl, hey, how you doing, huh? How you doing, beloved? And it's good to see y'all up in here. Anyway, I'm going to get a little reading, but I want to share some things with you. So, hey, Wes, Rondo. So I got the pack club timer 3. It's not, I don't know, it's not working right as far as I'm concerned. So I put it on delay by 0.000.03. So it's almost like 1, 2, 3. And it's got a sound thing, so when I shoot, it picks it up. So there's no pop, pop, pop to pick it up, and it counts it. So I'm gonna take it to the range tomorrow and see how it goes. So you can hit any button, anyone that brings it up. Then you hit arrows, and right now it's on delay, and it's on delay 0.03. So when you hit it, right, it counts 1, 2, 3, and then you press. It'll do it again. Picks up the shot. 1, 2, 3, bop, 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 bop. Then you hit it, then it pauses. Once it gets the sound, but right now there's no sound. So, and you'll see, it'll say like none. You know what I mean? It's because there's nothing there to go back and forward with. All right, let's turn it off. Hold both off. It's just that quick. So, take it out to the range, and I'll give it a shot with the single shot 6-shooter I got, the 22, or the 40 Colt 45. Well, that's too much. I don't like wasting that ammo. Those are big rounds. So my Navy revolver. So I'll just take the 22 out there and pop it off and see how it works. And I'll take maybe the Glock 21. I don't know. Just a dry run from the appendage and from the hip. And you know. So I wanted to let y'all know I come in. Also, I got a few other books. I'm gonna show you 2 that y'all helped me buy. The other 3, you didn't help me buy, so don't worry about it. They stay in the box. Oh yeah, they're rolling it. Yeah, damn, that thing's heavy. So this is the one that I was waiting on for a little bit. This is a travel guide. I'm retarded. Let go of the remote. Stop. All right. So he wants to play, y'all. He wants to play. Anyway, this is the Nephilim Chronicles, a travel guide to the ancient ruins in the Ohio Valley by Fritz Zimmerman. Y'all have seen the other books that I have, which we haven't finished. Is right there, the Ancient Giants in America, which I was reading that, but I wanted to stop because I was waiting on this and one other book. So, yeah, I got this one because they have a hard copy, which is pretty expensive. Because the highlight. And it's a lot of pictures, and it's nothing like this one as far as to have certain stuff to be able to pull up on the net. It doesn't pull up all this information. That's why you have to purchase the book. So I will hold it up and show you a lot of the pictures in there. And then this is the other one. This was a good little penny. I got this and the hardcover. This is the Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, a beginner's guide. And I figured with y'all it'd be good to start off with a beginner's guide. Okay, y'all know which one that is? I know you don't. So anyway, some of you might. So I'll show you those 2, and then there's 3 more. And I bought those, and when I decide to read them, you'll get a taste of them. You dig what I'm saying? Record what? You talking about the pack? Oh, as far as the shooting. Yeah, I might. I want to make sure it's working. I don't want to record something that damn thing's not working. And you know what I'm saying? So pop off a few rounds and see how it works. And then if that's the case, then I'll record it. Just to have. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to take... I'm going to take a couple of... I would say the 1 by 2 targets. 1.5 by 2, 1.5 foot by... I'm going to take those targets out there, and I'll tape them up, and on the plywood where we shoot the rifles, I could just do it over there at the handgun range, and whatever I record, I'll set it up and I'll just send it to you. So, what we're gonna read today, we're gonna read. Well, I always like to save William Cooper for the last, with purpose. So we're gonna read Terra Infinita, but we're gonna start off with George Jones. From George Jones, we're gonna get Terra Infinita, and then we're gonna get the Gods of Eden, Reptilians, the History of the Humankind, but based on Anunnaki, because I believe it. No, actually, I'm gonna read Terra Infinita first, and then George Jones, and then the Gods of Eden and the Anunnaki, and then at the very end, we'll just top it off with, we're still in the UFO realm or zone, okay? For whatever you want to call it, UFO or whatever. All right. So yeah, I'm fighting not to take the pill, y'all. I knew it would happen, but I wasn't in a rush. I mean, I feel good. It's just, it's part of what's going on with the body. You know what I mean? How many of y'all know about, I want y'all to see this. So this individual right here, let me pull up a picture. This right here is supposedly the first, we all know this. Today in Wikipedia, because it was updated, you know, and Ashkenazi owns it, the young man. Arthur Weggs Mitchell was supposedly in 1934 or something like that to 43 or something like that. Anyway, was the first so-called black African-American democratically hired on. I hate saying this stuff. I really do. Congressional personnel. Anyway, he look African to you? Yeah, like a pale skinned African, right? And that's the white first lady. Well, that's him in one of the meetings, I believe in Chicago, Illinois, or at what you call it. Here he is standing with, look carefully and closely. That's him on the right, my right. Okay, I don't know if I have it where it's which called. The narratives they paint, but I want you to pay attention to this picture. And then you might ascertain a couple of things. He's covering his face here. Again. Now he's standing up talking to the bastard Bush's father, the one that died at the dinner table. I guess the Chinese, whatever the fuck it was. Excuse my language. That's him right there. And you see that bastard. You see them worthless some bitches, right? But I want you to see this with Wrangel and all of them. Southern, Black Caucus and whatever. And I want you to look at the middle, who's standing up in the very middle. And y'all want to keep believing in the history of lies? Who is that motherfucker up in the middle? It's all a stage. Isn't that Mr. Cosby? Well, Bill, Wrangel, you see all of them standing there, right? Let me show you again. I want you to really look. Do you see what I see? But you want to believe that these niggas have your best interests. Arthur Weggs Mitchell Sr. was a U.S. representative from Illinois. Well, he was born in Lafayette, Alabama. Died May 9, 1968. Obviously, it's going to be in Petersburg, Virginia. Party, Republican Party. But up here it says, representative from Illinois for his entire congressional career from 1935 to 1943. He was the only African-American in Congress. Then we go over here. Arthur Weggs Mitchell became the first African-American Democrat elected to Congress, part of the New Deal coalition, when he replaced D. Priest in 1935. Now, excuse me. He was a Republican. So how did he become an African? How did he become the first Democratic witch card? I know what some of you are going to say. Okay. So, D. Priest, he served as a U.S. representative from Illinois' 1st Congressional District from 1929 to 1935. D. Priest was also the first African-American U.S. representative from outside the southern states and the first since the exit of North Carolina Representative George Henry White from Congress in 1901. Now, hold on, just bear fucking with me, okay? I want to show you who he is, the priest, and what he looked like. I just want you to pay attention. Okay? And they want y'all to think that these motherfuckers is African Americans. Hold on. I gotta pull this up. This is before I read, y'all. I just gotta do this. Now, George Henry White was an American attorney and politician, elected as a Republican U.S. Congressman from North Carolina's 2nd Congressional District between 1897 and 1901. He later became a banker in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and in Whitesburg, New Jersey, an African-American community he co-founded. What part did he play? Well, we're going to have a good look at this so-called Representative George Henry White, 1800s. All three of these preceding the others, first black congressional motherfucker. I'm just so sick of these some bitches. They fuck up, but they expect you not to do nothing. Okay? So this is going to be D. Priest. Let me pull up his picture. They want you to believe he's African. Now, next is going to be Representative George Henry White, like I said, from 1897 to 1901. Now, you remember what I said about 1850s, 1875, but 1856 really, but 75, which was the trade-off. Now, here's this motherfucker. Notifications are driving me crazy. I want you to have disdain in your heart for these Ashkenazi so-called fake-ass leaders. And all these puppets, the little off-breeds, the off fucking tango half-breeds and all these little fake bastards. How many of y'all have looked at who took over the Frenchman and after they murdered his nephew? Hold on, let me pull it up. Make sure y'all get a good idea. Mm-hmm. That's not fun. Why is it not coming up? It's not pulling up. Oh, what is that? No, that's not what I put. They keep saying these certain Frenchmen did a whole lot over here in America. That's the Suez Canal and a whole lot of other shit too, as far as over over there. They didn't build shit. Stop pulling it up. Why is it not? And his nephew. Are they bugging? It's not even pulling up what I'm looking for, guys. We'll just try later. Anyway, it's got to be here. Yes, y'all, the Smithsonian, but it's not. What's going on here? James Smithson or something like that. His nephew died in 1835. You wonder why, right? Without any heirs, the founding of the Smithsonian Institution, a rousing national debate were set in motion. Anyway, who took over it? Because you got to remember, he believed everything that was in there, that was being curated, was meant to be shared with everybody in the world. You dig what I'm saying? Thank you, Daryl. He believed everything should be shared. He mysteriously died, and so his nephew took over. His nephew was young, in his 20s, had no heirs, no woman, and he mysteriously dies in his youth. Look it up. And you know who took over? You got to remember that when he found it, he was born in 1765, and he created it somewhere around 18 something, and it was because he died in Genoa, Italy. What the fuck he died over there for? Genoa. We'll figure out. At the age of 64, mind you. Okay. Oh, Regent Alexander Graham Bell. You got to read up on it. Okay. Let me pull this up right quick. And I want you to know that the image they have of him, because you're just not gonna pull it up. You actually have to tap on it, and they give you their narrative, which is a fraud. Oh, they always do this. So this is the individual they want you to believe is Mr. James Smithson. Do you think somebody like that? Now, there's another picture that looks like that, and it's not James Smithson. That's why it's important to know what George Orwell was saying in his quotes. But did he debate anybody? I don't know. You need to look into that yourself. But they have whitewashed history so bad that you would think they would have been smart when they were doing it. No, they knew that most people wouldn't speak on it, say nothing, because you were too busy listening to fake ass preachers in them churches, synagogues, and those damn other places. All right, I'm not gonna beat on those guys. And these so-called politicians. Look into it. So maybe somebody else will start looking at this stuff, and you'll hear some people talking about more recent finds that for some reason are still available. Okay, let's get into reading. So I'm not going to read a whole lot. Let's go ahead and Terra Infinita, Extraterrestrial Worlds and Their Civilizations. The story told by the woman who was born in the lands behind ice walls. Let me show you this too. Let me see what comes up. So y'all think 5G is something that's beneficial, don't you? Yeah, fuck all that I agree. I don't agree with shit. So right now, my current exposure is right at 70. It was at 75 and 77 earlier. I keep telling y'all that it is nothing to do with no goddamn satellites. I broke what GBS means. Ground positioning services. Repeaters, which fluctuate an ambient vibration, frequency that's distorted, Just like the shit coming out your TV and your radio. I don't give a fuck what you do. It's 440. It doesn't matter. The highs and the lows, 808, 808, which some people think is just magical, but that's stupidity because they don't know the truth about harmonic frequency and the balance of it. And yet it still stands. Yes, some countries have torn this down. You dig what I'm saying? And unless 100 million motherfuckers act up, it will stay running as it is. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this. Terra Infinita, Extraterrestrial Worlds, and Their Civilizations, the story told by the woman who was born in the lands behind the ice walls. Nos confundam. There's our brother right there, okay? Mr. Claudio Naselli. And it's chapter 6, The Lands of Draco. We covered Lands of Venus, right? Okay, let's get into it. The Draco are also known as Etamines. They are the inhabitants of the Draco lands, northwest of the known lands, crossing the lands of Venus. Obviously, they were conquered because there's an ice wall around them. Just as, I didn't show you this yesterday, there's a grand wall with a partial all around the lands of Venus. Now, you can go up under those ice walls now. They're not all the way to the bottom. Now, these beings that once visited our lands are known for their great technological advance in weapons for attack and defense, as well as great psychic development. Now, some of their beings can communicate telepathically, using this technique to subdue any colonizing enemy or even to colonize other lands. Now, the Etamines, Dracos, by means of a treaty, achieved a union with the custodians. But at the beginning, this was not so. But the custodians attacked their lands when they were not in their most advanced stage. But on the contrary, the Draco lands lack islands, but 2 large continents are found with great vegetation. In fact, the most exotic plants of any other circle environment within the Great Dome exist there. Its great wall of ice was never an impediment to be able to cross other domes and conquer some lands. And in parentheses, it states, these walls were left by the custodians when they decided to put an end to the total manipulation of their environment. Did they stop manipulating them? We really wonder. We think not. Now, end. They started by lands outside the domes, like their nearby land Osiris. But then they moved their technology to the islands of Anubis. And many of these beings stayed in these paradise islands, but they used their many of the military bases for weapons developments. Now, what happened in the ancient battle between Etamines and custodians? Well, the custodians finally won at the beginning, since the Etamines, as we mentioned, had not achieved the progress they have today. But it was not easy, nor did they surrender, since they knew their lands well and are experts in making large tunnels. Now, the custodians had to use advanced technology to finally achieve victory in those lands and leave their mark on the walls of ice surrounding the dome in that circular environment. Now, the Draco lands were also visited by other races, such as the Anunnaki, and inhabitants of other nearby lands, such as the famous Greys that inhabit the Orient lands. The links with these beings led to the fact that today, both races live together in a true fraternity, both in Draco and Orient. The Etamines and Greys, the Dracos, can be found together. The age at which these beings can reach is approximately 192 years, compared to the years of the known Earths. While the custodians infected their atmosphere and the air they breathe at the time of their attack, as of today, they have no disease nor any great war being waged. Although they are spiteful beings, and it would not be strange if they were planning to colonize other lands, or perhaps a revenge towards the custodians. But this is all mere speculation. A great flood that still disconcerts its inhabitants was generated at the beginning. A strange wall surrounds its coast. It is technologically that they are carrying out. It is said that it is used as radar, and that it could attack an enemy that wanted to cross them. Now, the surveillance system of their lands increased in the last time, and product of the fear that the great colonizers still have for what could be outside this great dome. Now, it is possible that the custodians and Anunnaki are very interested in this type of wall to replace the ice walls they create. Next, we will get into the lands of Mars. We'll do that tomorrow. I don't want to keep going too far ahead in this, and it's pretty interesting. Let's go ahead and hit the original history of ancient America by Mr. George Jones. Elderbron Classic. Hey, baby. Oh, ain't no stretching out for me. The moment I throw a leg up or I kick my shoes off, throw a leg up, this one come over. You got that movie. I got to stick it right there. I'm like, no, you got that over there. Anyway, let's go ahead and get in here. Now, the tortoise, the turtle, I'm going to say the turtle, is also the designation of the coins of Thebes in Greece. And from this fact, it is brought home at once to the Tyrians as a symbol of their country, as well as the Aegina. Now, and in all probability, consulting data, Aegina copied it from the Theban coin, the Phoenician chief, Cadmus. And in parentheses, it states, all ancient Tyrian chiefs were so called, and founded Thebes, and is well known to have introduced into Greece the letters or alphabet of his own country. Now, they always want to say Greece created the da-da-da, they were lying. And without doubt, at the same time, everybody had a language and could write and spell and read. At the same time, so you destroy that knowledge so you can push some kind of fictional white superiority in certain lands. Anyway, at the same time, he selected symbols of his native land to represent the coin of his new city. The turtle is therefore a Tyrian emblem and is found upon the ruins in ancient America. Okay. Yes, ruins of ancient America. Cadmus founded Thebes in 1493 BC and was consequently contemporary with the first lawgiver. Now, Euripides, in his drama of the Phoenician Virgin, thus alludes to his arrival as uttered by Jocasta. Here we go. Resplendent sun. How inauspicious dost thou dart by beams. That day on Thebes, when from the sea-washed coast, O fair Phoenicia, Cadmus on this land, set his ill omen defoot. Ha! Woo-hoo! Shoo! Goodness gracious. When he landed, okay? We have suggested that Grecians, i.e., for example, of Aegina, may have been the authors of the sculpture, and Egyptians of the architectural base of the edifices, one and the same. Because their respective styles are traceable, you got to remember, did it go off? Something went wrong. There we go. You got to remember that Egypt was a period, a time, long before, and they're doing their best to reconcile the two together, when no, there's periods. Anyway, styles are traceable in the ruins of Palenque, Oxmal, and Copan. This suggestion is founded upon the possibility and even probability of natives of those nations being at Tyrus at the time of the departure of the Tyrians. Yet it does not follow as a necessity that all the architects, builders, and sculptors must have been of those nations. For although there does not exist in Asia or Africa any Phoenician architecture alike, whereby a comparison can be made, yet there does exist the undying record that the Tyrians were builders and sculptors from their own practice. And that fact is founded upon the authority of Scripture. That's like in the Virginias and the Carolinas. And when you go over to the Samoan and certain islands, the longhouses. Very similar, and in some very extravagant. Now, and Hiram, king of Tyre, remember, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David and cedar trees. and carpenters and masons, and they built David a house. For example, palace. 2 Samuel. Okay? Chapter 2. Hero. A biff? Not a biff. A name misutilized and mischaracterized, as usual. Here then is a distinct and undeniable record of the Tyrians being not only carpenters, their shipbuilding proves that, but masons, and which in the original Hebrew text is defined to be how, listen to this, hewers of the stone of the wall. No goddamn pale skins and no Ashkenaz and these perverts running around. And consequently, they were sculptors as well as architects. Their building and adorning of Solomon's temple, as will be shown in the history of Tyrus, are additional facts with the building of the palace of David, to put at rest any suspicions or questions whether the Tyrians themselves, unassisted by others, could have built and sculptured those edifices in America. Now the Israelites had no practical knowledge of architecture until ages after the building by the Tyrians of Solomon's temple, 1015 BC, which we know to be bullshit. And they weren't called Israelites, which is no problem. The above quotation from sacred history refers to the year 1043 BC, and you know what was happening in the 6th century before that, actually 3rd, to that point. And consequently, centuries before the time contemplated by this epoch. Next, we'll get into the skill knowledge and all that good stuff. You could, it doesn't matter how good the information may be from pale skins, whatever. You got to remember, they've got to put a spin on something, history and everything. No matter what they speak in riddles or secrets or codes or whatever, you've got to know that there's other books for individuals who go to certain colleges who know that when they read something, to look in another book somewhere else because they know that there's a code or a password or something that'll enumerate something else to have a better understanding of the bullshit that we read. That's why I say it's important for you to pay attention. Okay? The Gods of Eden by William Brantley. Yes, again, thank you, Snoo Snoo. This one's a good read. Okay, here we go. 113. In the past, a few UFO sightings touted as proof of extraterrestrial visitations by top UFO researchers have proven to be earthly phenomena or hoaxes. Such errors should cast doubt on all proclamations by UFO researchers. Yet, because the UFO phenomenon is so difficult to study, even the finest researchers will inevitably make errors. Sometimes many of them, mind you. It is easy for someone to seize those mistakes and use them to discredit the entire subject. This tactic is often used by lawyers in courts by law, by statesmen during political debates, and even by scientists engaged in academic controversies. Now we see the dumbest of them using a whole lot of stuff and just blatantly lying. Congressional people, fictional lawyers on one side, the party, this, that, and the other, because we all know what these sons of bitches are going to do and say about the 2A, what they're going to try to do. If they want a civil war and they get motherfuckers staged and prepped, then you motherfuckers need to snap up out your comb and get your heads out your ass. I don't want to advocate violence, but because they want to silence it, means that it is innumerable, and you feel it in your bones. You feel it in your flesh. You feel it all through you, and they are not prepared of what may come when a people wake up in mass. Anyway, let's carry on, mind you. The problem with, and a lot of people I know have a hard time believing because you haven't woke the fuck up. The only time you wake up is when you have coffee, open your eyes in the so-called AM or at night whenever you decide to go to sleep, and your drives are perversions. That's what you think is woke? No, motherfucker. May come and it may scare the shit out you when it happens because you didn't do anything to prep now in your ignorance. Now, the problem with this tactic is that it does not always lead to truth. and can even lead away from it. A good example was the round earth theory, exposed by Christopher Columbus in the 15th century, in an age when many people still believed the world to be flat. Columbus was part of a movement proclaiming that the earth was round or pear-shaped. As correct as Columbus was on this issue, which we know pure bullshit, and they have to enumerate certain things. That's why you pay attention, even the UFO bullshit. But you gotta pay attention to what I'm reading here. Okay, be mindful, because when I'm reading, do not allow it to control the narrative. Puzzle pieces, people. Columbus was part of a movement proclaiming that the earth was round or pear-shaped. As correct as Columbus was on this issue, so he's making a statement which is based on his opinion. Okay? He was wrong about many others. Columbus thought that he would encounter Asia when he crossed the Atlantic Ocean, and falsely reported that he had done so when he returned to Spain. We know today, of course, that Columbus had not found Asia at all. He had stumbled upon the North American. No, he didn't, because he already met those of us over there in Spain, fucking 10 years and 5 years prior to him coming over here. See, this is what I'm talking about. They're not careful when they write. And even the books you buy today will allude to that. They're stupid people. They, in their power craze, have become dumb. And we've already proved that. There's more than enough information doing that. But the book is important because it has puzzles. It has pieces. Remember that. In which he is nowhere near Asia. Because of this, we could easily scoff at Columbus. And that is not even his fucking name. Phony evidence and proclaim his round earth theory a sham. After all, some of Columbus' other ideas about the earth were clearly wrong. Some absurdly so. So what did he do? Though he said it was right, he just called it a sham. Now, this type of situation occurs frequently, especially when a science is young, as ufology is today. False claims and erroneous evidence are often used to support fundamentally sound ideas. Now, this is not to say that every new theory that pops along is a valid one, or that bad evidence is the sign of a good theory. Many new theories prove bad, and the trick is to weigh all the evidence and to base a decision on that. In doing so, however, do not be surprised to encounter disagreement from others. It is a funny thing that two people can look at identical information and arrive at opposite conclusions. Remember that. And we'll get into 14 tomorrow. I hope you're really paying attention. Oh, I want to eat that black damn, what you call it, plum so bad. What's up, Papa? You want to go outside, don't you? It's cool out there now. You burn your pawpaw. You want to go out there now, don't you? He's looking at me like, duh, when I don't want to. When don't I want to? Excuse me. Yes, my Papa. Yes, 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 yes. There you go. There you go. Anyway, the reptilians and the history of humankind, the Anunnaki, by Henry Crane. Another Masonic motherfucker. Piece of fake motherfucker. Piece of excrement. Anyway, let's go on. The Arcturians, who are aware of the whole human problem, the Lulus, but who had nevertheless remained aloof, decided to take advantage of the Kaditsu's sentence to send a caravan of 20 emissaries to planet Earth, and so on to be able to study humans better. This caravan was amazed to see the potential that humans had and the ability to feel and express feelings. A great number of these Arcturians emissaries succumbed to the pleasures. That humans gave to detach the subtle energies and the taste of their blood, which basically focused on humans who were practically abandoned in Africa, and they were dedicated to guiding them in exchange for them feeding them. Modechi. Their favorite dish always was the children, from which they sucked all the blood of the body. Didn't I say something about the sand devils? The betrayal, with Alexander and his so-called cousin. The fall, Tartary. Anyway, from which they sucked all the blood from the body. Now the Pleiadians, on the other hand, had a secret plan to drive the Anunnaki out of the earth, but decided not to carry it out until seeing how things went on earth to determine if they were going to put it to action or not. Enki, upon learning of the resolution of the Kaditsu, decided to help the Carians to pass on their knowledge to the humans, who were in the first settlement, since his idea was to let the Atlanteans and Lemurians free to see how they evolved by themselves. I know, we'll get back to the women of Lemuria and all that, don't worry. To see how they evolved by themselves, something that did not last for a long time. Anu could not prevent Enki from helping the Carians, since he had to respect the free will of humankind. However, he sent 2 of his emissaries to have Enki under surveillance at all times and inform him of all his movements. So after 2,000 years after the resolution of the Kaditsu, humankind had made the greatest evolutionary leap in its history, and the Sumerian civilization had been born. Despite the great technological advances and knowledge that humans had achieved, they still lived fearful of their gods, and they continued to offer sacrifices. While this civilization was born, Enlil and Marduk, each, for their part, were waiting for the right moment to take control of the earth. Next, we'll get into the expulsion of the Anunnaki from Urra's earth. I'm using pink and yellow for too long. Green. Hold the horse. I need some coconut water. Guys. Yes, ginger and cucumber. And a little lime. I was calling around to see why they didn't get no organic watermelon this time. Come to find out, from 2 places that still grow it. So I'm going to actually go to Safeway. Sprout and pick me up a couple. They didn't order it. And these foreigners just love eating that GMO watermelon shit. Well, they ain't eating no meat. I don't see none of them motherfuckers picking up none of that beef, that chicken, the pork, none of it. Oh, I watch. Except for maybe the Spanish and French. But the other one, the Chinese, they ain't grabbing none of that damn meat. Not even them damn Hindus. They don't even go by the meat section. Whatever you want to call them. Especially the fighting age motherfuckers. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying there's anything doing it. I'm just putting it out there. You paying attention? Are you watching where you live at? All right, anyway, let's go ahead. Behold the pale horse, Mr. William Cooper himself. And that's the old chap right there. That's the lad. Okay, here we go. A third landing in Morok, now Edwards Air Force Base, and this is by UFOs, took place in 1954. Now the base was closed for 3 days, and no one was allowed to enter or leave during that time. Now the historical event had been planned in advance, and details of a treaty had been agreed on. Eisenhower arranged to be in Palm Springs on vacation, and on the appointed day, the president was spirited to the base. Now the excuse was given to the press that he was visiting a dentist. Witnesses to the event have stated that the three UFOs flew over the base and then landed. And anti-aircraft batteries were undergoing live fire training, and the startled personnel actually fired at the crafts as they passed overhead. Luckily, the shells missed and no one was injured. Now, President Eisenhower met with the aliens on February 20th, 1954, and a formal treaty between the alien nation and the United States of America was signed. The United States of America. That means it has not a goddamn thing to do with it except for Washington, D.C., the little plot of 10 miles. Anyway, to which the Ashkenaz used to fuck everybody over. Too many people are too dumb to know better. Anyway, we then received our first alien ambassador from outer space. He was the hostage that had been left at the first landing in the desert. His name and title was His Omnipotent Highness Krill, pronounced Krill or Krill in the American tradition of disdain for royal titles. He was secretly called Original Hostage Krill or Krill. Yeah, ain't that stupid? Anyway, shortly after this meeting, President Eisenhower suffered a heart attack, mysteriously, right? 4 others present at the meeting were Franklin Allen of the Hearst newspapers, Edwin Norse of Brookings Institute, and Gerald Light of Metaphysical Research fame, and Catholic Bishop McIntyre of Los Angeles. Their reaction was judged as a microcosm of what the public reaction might be. Based on this reaction, it was decided that the public could not be told. Later studies confirmed the decision was sound. Now, an emotionally revealing letter written by Gerald Light spells it out in chilling detail. My dear friend, I have just returned from Morocco. The report is true, devastatingly true. I made the journey in company with Franklin Allen of the Hearst Papers and Edwin Norse of Brookings Institute, Truman's Eastwell financial advisor, mind you, okay, and Bishop McIntyre of L.A. Now, confidential names of the present, please, it states, in brackets. When we were allowed to enter the restricted section, in parentheses, after about 6 hours in which we were checked on every possible item, event, incident, and aspect of our personnel and public lives, end, I had the distinct feeling that the world had come to an end with fantastic realism. For I have never seen so many human beings in a state of complete collapse and confusion, as they realized that their own world had indeed ended with such finality as to beggar description. The reality of other plane, aeroforms, is now and forever removed from the realms of speculation and made a rather painful part of the consciousness of every responsible scientific and political group. Now, during my 2 days visit, I saw 5 separate and distinct types of aircraft being studied and handled by our Air Force officials with the assistance and permission of the Etherians. I'm looking at the other book. I have no words to express my reactions. It has finally happened. It is now a matter of history. President Eisenhower, as you may already know, was spirited over to Morocco one night during his visit to Palm Springs recently, and it is my conviction that he will ignore the terrific conflict between the various authorities and go directly to the people via radio and television, because he wanted to speak on it. If the impasse continues much longer, from what I could gather, an official statement to the country is being prepared for delivery about the middle of May. But he had a heart attack all of a sudden. We know that no such announcement was ever made. The Silence Control Group won the day. We also know that 2 more ships, for which we can find no witnesses, either landed sometime after the 3 or were already at the base before the 3 landed. Now, Gerald Light specifically states that 5 ships were present and were undergoing study by the Air Force. His metaphysical experience is evident in that he calls the entities Etherians. Gerald Light capitalized Etherians, calling attention to the fact that these beings might have been viewed as gods by Mr. Light. Now, the alien emblem was known as the trilateral insignia. and was displayed on the craft and worn on the alien uniforms. Both of these landings and the second meeting were filmed. These films exist today. Now, the 20 stated that the aliens would not interfere in our affairs, and we would not interfere in theirs. We would keep their presence on Earth, obviously a friggin' secret, right? Yeah. And they would furnish us with advanced technology and would help us in our technological development. They would not make any treaty with any other Earth nation. They could abduct humans on a limited and periodic basis for the purpose of medical examination and monitoring of our development, with the stipulations that the humans would not be harmed, would be returned to the point of abduction, would have no memory of the event, and that the alien nation would furnish Majesty's 12 with a list of all human contacts and abductees on a regularly scheduled basis. What say you? Stop that. I was going to read a lot of this, but no, I'm not going to have y'all running around buck-eyed crazy and shit. Puzzle pieces, people. Puzzle pieces. I hope you're actually here listening to me. Just one pink. That's masculine, not feminine. Blue is feminine. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this old fogey. I was going to read Discovery, the story of the second bird and Arctic expedition. I've highlighted enough, not a lot, because the book's pretty big. I've highlighted about, particular parts of about 20 pages. But I have to read a little more. It starts off, it grabs you. But then it gets into the, I mean, if you saw the popular mechanics of 1940, what year was that? When the French guy went up in a balloon. And anyway, if you saw the stuff that was stated about the Earth, I think there's only one or two of those left. Well, that's what I'm digging for, to make sure that information is in there. 1948, 50, somewhere around there, I forget. But anyway, hopefully I can pull that back up. I haven't been able to find it in a long time, because it seems like with everything going on, they're really cleaning up and getting rid of certain things. So maybe I can find an article or something on YouTube where somebody was talking about it to refresh what I already know, unless it's more up to date into some add-on shit. So, but I appreciate, I've been highlighting stuff in this book. It's excellent freaking read. I'm here to tell y'all, man, there is nothing right with what they've stated. Nothing. And then to have everybody believing that they can't go somewhere. Anywho, I appreciate y'all sticking around. We marked the hour point. This one is playing with, anyway. Let me see who all came in. Hey, DJ, what's going on? Oh, 12, what's going on, beloved? Yeah, my girl, she's doing her thing. Name Macy has a Hebrew name. Yes, it is. Big Pontiac. You already know I got you, beloved. What was that? The Smithsonian Institute was established by, it was in 1846. It was actually before that, but yeah, by the federal government. It was 1930-something when Frenchman, I said his name, created, and that his nephew was young, died mysteriously. Nation, yes, 1765, exactly. Founded on the Smithsonian Institute, was born in 1765 in France with the name James Louis Massey. But it was actually over here. But they have their own form over there as well, and that's the curators to hide, to destroy, and to share things, even to change. How you think Hollywood got all these ideas from movies and shit. It didn't take us no long. It didn't take us no time at all to say Wakanda's in Ohio. They know Wakanda over in Africa and the jaguar. I mean the panther and then all the other history. The fact that our lion, the American saber-tooth lion, was bigger than the African lion, much bigger, and was still here. Was. All they did was lie about everything. I'm glad y'all took the time. Whoever donated, I appreciate it. I think I showed one of you. I didn't watch. I don't watch the notifications. Appreciate you all, really do. And I will definitely see y'all tomorrow. French duplicates. Quasi. English duplicates. Quasi. And they murdered him and murdered his nephew. And they took over it because they did not want everybody to know the truth. Especially when you're chopping down all the gopher trees, over 60 million of them, going all the way up to Washington and Oregon. All of a sudden, all the last ones that I actually was part of the curators, the old pale skin women in Florida and Louisiana, 280 gopherwood trees. Only place they ever grew was here in America. Yet it's the story of Noah's Ark. All of history going back 2,000, all a lie. We have been here for millions of fucking years. The first individuals to come here were females, followed by in suit by the men to protect. It doesn't matter what you think. The reality is the reality. The truth is the truth, right? Isn't that what they say? The fundamentally fucked up part is that they really thought they can stop it. And they really still think they can, again. Y'all better snap about your little funky coma. That's all I got to say. Okay. Yeah, DJ, for sure. The fake invasion. How many of y'all read up on Project Bluebeam? How many of y'all been to Japan and see the shit look like it's jumping off the fucking wall? If you haven't ever been over there to see some of that shit, go ahead and Google some of that shit then. Shit's weird as fuck. I think they've got some places like that in New York now, down in Times Square, where it looks like the shit's coming off the fucking... Anywho, check it out for yourselves. Somebody was saying that Tupac, that was a hologram. They're saying, no, the motherfucker really was there. I don't know. I'm not in the background. I don't care. Sometimes we get focused to shit we should not care about. So what if the motherfucker's alive? And what the fuck does that mean to you? Is that important? What's his name? Got 10 years and Megan Thee Stallion was shot in the... Who fuck both of them? That's distract. Those are real distractions. Like you don't care about motherfuckers that sold themselves out to fuck the game up and to bring brothers and sisters further into purgatory? Man, fuck all the monkeys. All right? I'm gonna share that news. Beloved sisters, see y'all in the air.